Alrighty, I am live. Alrighty. All right, looks like I have a little bit of a lag. Okay, so I am going to try to keep going and see if the lag kind of shakes out a little bit. Let's see if I can get this a little better. So all right, so it looks like we're good to go. I'm so happy to be back. Hi. I had a little bit of a what I like to call a resistance relapse where I was feeling really bad about myself and wasn't really feeling worthy and just really down, and gotten to the point where I just didn't feel inspired to do much of anything. I was just really beating up on myself, but I'm back and I learned my lesson and now I'm here to share it. So that brings me to today's topic, which is all about focus. So what I learned from my recent experience is that our focus is so powerful, and wherever we put our attention, that's where our focus goes, and that becomes what we attract into our lives, because that's the vibration that we're putting out into the universe. So that's what we're getting back. And I've come to discover that even if something is happening near me or even in my life, I know that it's not happening to me. I know that it's happening because of my focus. And I've made it my mission to say, oh, well, my focus is very valuable. So from this point forward, I'm only focusing on those things that I want to experience more of, that I want to see more of, that I want to create and feel and experience in my life. Because if I focus on something, it comes, whether I want it or not. And so since I want to be extremely deliberate, since I'm looking forward to the things in my life that I know I want and want to be, do, and have, I'm no longer willing to just focus all willy-nilly. And I would suggest the same for you as well. If you're wanting to be intentional about life, wanting to have those yummy, juicy, delicious experiences, wanting things to go the way that you know they should, because we all come in innately knowing. Like if you look at babies and you see how they behave, they're not timid about knowing that they should have what they want, especially like the younger they are, because the less socialized they are. And of course, you know, there's socialization and people showing you things and you kind of paying attention to how other people behave around you. But when you're first born, all you know is well-being. You know that when you cry, somebody's going to respond. It's not even a question. Babies aren't like, oh, I certainly hope my mom gives me some milk. That's not at all how babies are. They are knowing. They know coming in. So that part of us is innate. That comes from directly from source, the knowing of our well-being. And along the line, we kind of get away from that because of what we're looking at other humans doing, because of what experiences we have when we don't realize that it was our focus on whatever that was that brought that experience. So like, for example, in my life, I kind of was like addicted to a victim mentality for a while, and it was always playing itself out in different ways. And I would say, oh, I'm doing all of this nice stuff for all of these people, but they don't appreciate me. Nobody's wanting to do for me what I do for them. And it came to my realization. I kind of woke up into that and was like, hold up, what part am I playing in this? Why are people constantly doing these so-called things to me what am I doing to get because it's pretty much the same person in a different body over and over and over again. Similar situations that all felt the same. It wasn't exactly the same. Like when things play out in my life, they don't show up in exactly the same way, but it's similar enough vibrationally that I started to make the connection. And so once I did that and I started to really look at the pattern of myself, what I had going on, I picked up on that. And it was a while before I got out of it, even though I noticed the pattern, because sometimes that's how it works. You'll see the pattern and you're not able to do much about it, but you'll at least be able to recognize it, so you're on a step in the right direction. And so once I did pick up that pattern, I was like, hold up. And once I did learn that law of attraction means you bring to yourself what you put out, I realized that it was something in me that I was putting out, something that I was constantly doing and saying. And I realized that saying that I was a victim was indeed keeping me a victim. Feeling like I was a victim was keeping me a victim, was keeping the people that were drawn to me were of course going to take advantage of me, because that's the vibration that I was putting out. That's what I was focused on. That's what I kept repeating over and over and over again. So of course that's what I was getting. I couldn't get anything different, because the law of attraction is solid. It's unchanging. It's fair. It's just, it doesn't judge. It just gives everything that matches to each other. Like everything that's a match, it's just going to be together, period. So if you put out that victim mentality vibration, then that's what you're going to get back. And it's not anything inappropriate about that. It's not anything wrong with that. It's just a matter of if you decide that's what you want or not. And I decided I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't want that, so I stopped doing it. And so once I came to that realization, it was so much better to look around and notice it. And at a certain point, I started laughing every time I picked up on it, because I was like, oh, no, honey, you're not a victim. That's you playing that story, knowing you don't have to. Turn your focus somewhere else. Because the other thing about the way our universe works, and I know I've said this before, but I love Abraham Hicks and listening to the way that they deliver the message of we get what we think about, whether we want it or not. And so once I picked up on that and picked up on my thoughts and was willing to actually pay attention to how all of my thoughts made me feel, it was more easy for me to redirect my focus, because it's a lot harder for you to put your focus where you want it to go when you don't realize what you're doing, when you're not keen to it. You kind of just feel out of control. But once you pay attention to that, whatever your focus is, by paying attention to how you feel, then it's a lot easier to just gradually turn. And one thing too that I figured out that I did for the longest time was trying to avoid and trying to deny and trying to say no. And that really doesn't work as well either, because of the way our universe is. It's attraction based. So whatever you saying no to, you're actually saying yes, because the universe does not hear no's. It's only you giving your attention to it. Oh, that means you must want more of it because you're being it. And that's what I really had to understand. Whatever I was looking at, I was becoming. Whatever I was thinking about, I was becoming. That is the essence of who I am in the moment that I'm giving my attention to something. So once I figured that out, that was a huge weight lifted up off my shoulders. And so much as recently, this stuff that I was just thinking about and ruminating over, I realized, like, oh my God, it's my focus. It's my focus that's causing this. Like, the universe is benevolent. The universe wants me to win. Source loves me and wants the best for me. But Source will not break my free will. So if I'm focused on something that I do not want, the universe will deliver that to me. And that's such a good thing to realize, because when you're in this state of this is happening to me and why does everybody else get all of this good stuff but I don't, it's really hard to remember that Source is in your corner. Source is rooting for you. Source really wants you to win. And so it's so refreshing. It's such a load off. It just kind of takes the edge off. It really just takes the edge off when you remember that Source has your back. And no matter how anything looks in the moment, it's going in your favor. It's working out for you. And so keeping that in mind, now I know from that standpoint, anytime something is going, I know, wait, hold up. I already know how to turn my thoughts. Like, this is working out for me. I am not going to take this in a way that degrades me or makes me less than worthy. Like, for example, it took me the longest time to get the stream going, but I knew this was working out in my favor. I knew, even though I did not know what this technology issue had going on, I don't know what was going on with YouTube, I couldn't figure it out, but I got it going. I got it working in my favor, and I knew that source was rooting for me to get to what I want. Because that's the thing you don't realize based on perhaps religion or what you may have picked up along the way. I know personally I didn't. I thought that God had a specific idea of who I should be, what I should want. And I thought that there were like preset things that I was supposed to be, do, and have in my life. But I've come to discover that it's not actually the case. Source supports me in whatever I want to be, do, or have. And there's nothing that I have to do. There's nothing that God was like, you better do this or else. No, that's not what I feel God to be inside of me. And it was really eye-opening to realize, like, literally what I'm paying attention to is what I'm getting back. And so I can just change my attention just because I want to. And really the better motivation for changing my attention was to make myself feel better, because ultimately we didn't come here to struggle and to feel bad and to work our way towards some like holy goal. No, we came here to enjoy life as it unfolds. And I always go back to kids because they're such a good example of this. But when you think about how rambunctious they are and how full of life they are and how much they just hair blowing back, just in the wind, flying, just don't care about the other stuff. Just whatever they're focused on in that moment has their undivided attention, and they're just leaping with joy. And even if it's not necessarily like bouncing off the walls happy, when they get interested in something, they're super interested. They're specifically down in it. I mean, that type of interest, that is just invaluable, because when you just pay attention to your thoughts for like one day. I did this experiment earlier today where I have this app on my phone that's called a LOA timer, because Abraham Hicks says that if you focus on something like a thought, now it won't be one thought because you don't really think in terms of one thought. It's kind of like a thought group. If you focus on one thing for 17 seconds, then it'll gain more momentum. And by the time you get to the 68-second mark, which is like 17, 17, 17, then it'll pick up enough momentum that it can start to gather more around it and start to manifest. And so I put this little timer on. It has a little timer where it dings at every 17 seconds. And I was like, please, surely I can do 17 seconds of undiluted thought. And I promise you, I didn't make it to like, I don't even know, maybe 10 seconds before a contradictory thought popped up. It was like, oh, I like this. I like feeling good. But and I was like, oh my God, that's what they're talking about. Like, we don't focus undiluted on anything for very long. Typically as adults, we're all over the place, and that's why momentum can't get going to bring you what you want, because your thoughts are like here, 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 here. It's like, no wonder you can't pick up any momentum. Your train can't pick up any speed because you're just pulling it back and forth in both directions. And I thought, even with all of this inner work I had done, I was like, surely I have 17 seconds worth. That's not really that much. But in terms of how fast your thoughts go, your thoughts are like boom, boom, boom. 17 seconds is a very long time to hold a purely undiluted thought. And I actually was very surprised that I didn't do that. So that's going to be my intention for today and moving forward. For every time I can catch it, before it gets to the 17-second mark. And I'm still working on it. It's still a work in progress. It's going to be my forever journey because I want to have pure, positive, undiluted thoughts. I don't want to go down those spirals because they don't feel good, for one. And two, like, because I've tasted what that alignment tastes like, I don't want to go back. I'm just straight up not interested in that. It doesn't feel good to go in that direction anymore. And I'm just not interested. I can't. And the thing too that I understand now is that is still valuable. It is still valuable to kind of dip back into something unwanted. But my goal now, instead of beating up on myself for being back in that unwanted place, or even for focusing on something that I don't want for longer than I intend to, my goal at this point is to be like, nope, we still don't pick on Tiffany. This is part of the process. It's all right. We're good right where we are because Source is here. And it's okay. Source still has your back. You are still a good person. You are still worthy, and you get to be here. This is all right. So my main focus now is focus. And my main focus is focus. No. But really, I am really being diligent about where I put my attention, where I put my thoughts. And the moment I feel that twinge of negative emotion, just like you would, like if you touched a hot stove, you don't leave your hand on the hot stove just to be like, yeah, that doesn't feel good, but I guess I need to learn a lesson. No, you pull your hand back as soon as you feel that heat, because that pain is your body's way of letting you know through touch, like, you're not gonna like what happens if you leave your hand here. So you could ignore the pain if you wanted to, but it's just going to get worse. And it's the exact same with negative emotion. If you ignore that emotion, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. It's going to turn into something unpleasant because it started out unpleasant. And that reminds me of like an analogy I heard Jerry Hicks. If you guys listen to Abraham Hicks, I love them, so I'll reference them a lot. But he said that if you plant a seed of corn, you don't get a tulip. And what he meant by that, which is very insightful, is that whatever the seed that you plant is what you get. So if something feels bad to think about, by the time you think about it even more, and it gets all of that momentum, and enough momentum to become like a physical manifestation, it's not going to feel good. And that in and of itself is enough motivation for me to be like, oh, okay, gotcha. I'd rather feel good. And I'd rather pay attention and catch it in the earlier stages, because everything starts the same way. Everything starts in our minds. We think about something, we think about it, and then we see it. And if you haven't been doing any kind of inner work or looking at law of attraction or anything like that, you might not realize that it goes in that direction. You might think that everything just kind of happens and we're just kind of just splatted here on earth and stuff is just happening. But no, the environment that you create around yourself is what you get more and more and more of. And it's just so prudent. It's just so much better when you're willing to just go with the flow, go with the well-being. It actually takes a lot of work to resist the well-being that is so dominant, is so natural. Like, if you just take a look at how well balanced the earth is, and just how the things in nature, animals, like wild animals, they don't worry about their well-being. They don't worry at all. They just know. They know the natural order of things. And even when there's like prey animals and predator animals, they still know the natural order of their lives, and they're okay with the cycle of life experience. They're fine with it. They live through it. They go through it. They enjoy the experience of existing. And that's a very attainable goal for us humans. But I know a lot of people struggle with that because they don't know that you're supposed to be enjoying. Oh, let me close it. Are we back? All right. Looks like we had a little bit of a lost connection there, but all right, we're back. Sorry about that. Lost the connection for a sec. But yeah, like I was saying, things are supposed to go well for you. everything is always working out for you. Things are supposed to work out for you. And no matter how they look in any moment, it is going in your favor. And the more that you allow it to go in your favor, the more it does. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I am going to be practicing, putting my focus where I want it, paying attention when I get off track, and get myself right back on the track that I intend to be. And I am not playing. Like, this is so important to me because I love clarity. I love coming to knowing about who I am and what I'm doing and why I'm here, and understanding that it's my focus, that I get to choose where I put my attention. Oh yeah, I got this. So hopefully I challenge you to do the same thing. I know you can do it, because if you have the desire, if anything comes up as a desire for you, then the universe can fulfill it 100%. So I know you can have anything that you're wanting. And I believe in you. I believe in me. All of us, we got this. We're going to do it. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. And if you need any help with doing or having anything, I offer private coaching. I'll put my email in the description so you can check that out if you want. I will talk to you next time, and I got my technology fixed, so it'll be soon.